started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar series for the Community Navigator program here at the American Indigenous Tourism Association. I am so thrilled to have both Gina Pearson joining us and Bob Hackett. And Gina, if you wouldn't mind just advancing that slide for me, that would be most welcome. Thank you so much. So today we are going to be diving into an incredible, detailed, powerful presentation about protecting night skies and the economic benefit associated with incorporating dark skies into your programming and how that supports recreation and land use. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Colleen Coleman. I've been with IANTA for just 2 months. It's hard to believe it's only 2 months. And prior to my work here, I was at the National Forest Foundation, where I helped with climate resilience and community engagement. And prior to that, I was doing go-to-market strategy at corporate REI for several years. So with that, again, I am just very thrilled to be joined by our incredible presenters today. And just as a reminder, some housekeeping. Please put your questions in the chat. I will be monitoring those, and we will have some time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. Both Bob and Gina are happy to do that. And this webinar is being recorded, so we will share out those recordings by the end of the week with you all in case there's people in your organization that you want to share this with, or there's such good detail that you want to go back and listen to it again. So don't worry. We've got the note-taking covered for you. And with that, we're just so thrilled to have Gina here joining us from the Bureau of Land Management. Gina is joining us from the Taos, New Mexico field office. And thank you so much, Gina, for bringing your expertise to this space. And from Oregon, Southern Oregon, we've got Bob Hackett joining us. And so much to learn about their expertise and what they share with us through the Dark Skies programming. So with that, Gina, I know you're going to lead us off, so I will turn the mic over to you. And thank you so much for being here with us.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining today. And I'm going to kind of give a broad overview of protecting night skies and economic benefits. And then Bob will kind of dive into more specifics of how the approach that they took in Southern Oregon there. So first of all, before we talk about protecting night skies, it's like, what are we protecting night skies from? So light pollution, a lot of people think, what is light pollution? So there's 4 different types of light pollution that we talk about. And one of them, the top photo here, is kind of represents 2 different types of light pollution. Light trespass, which is unwanted light that spills over into areas where it's not needed. You can see here in this photo, this light is pretty bright and it's shining into all these homes. And if anyone's sleeping in near one of those windows, that could be shining into their bedroom window. Another type of light pollution is glare. And that's defined as a bright light source that causes discomfort or interferes with your vision. And this kind of glare we kind of can experience almost every day as we're driving. If you notice the new blue LED headlights that some of these cars have, that is a type of glare, and it can really cause that contrast of light and dark and make it very difficult to see. The other 2 types of light pollution can be kind of represented in this bottom photo here. One of them is called sky glow, and it's the brightening of the sky over a populated area, such as you see in this photo here. And it's caused by the scattering of light in the atmosphere, which is due to the presence of, pollution, light pollution, dust particles, particulate matter. And this is one of a common type of light pollution that we see, especially when we're trying to take dark sky readings. And then the last type of light pollution is clutter. And I'm showing this picture down here kind of, for me, represents clutter as well, because you can see those 2 very large bright areas, and that probably is a signifies that there's a lot of grouping of light fixtures in one area, and they're creating unnecessary and unwanted light. So that's light pollution. And I'm kind of showing this map. It's been shown at many different presentations. You may have seen it before, but this is something that's pretty impactful to see, especially now that we're in 2025. This research was conducted, and kind of projected out what we would be seeing in the future. And at the turn of the century, it was estimated that 2/3 of the U.S. population live where they can't see the Milky Way. And these maps, visually show that. You can see, though, that there is some dark spots in this map. And, the 2025 map shows some of these areas. Recently, citizen scientists have measured that the average night sky got brighter by 10% per year from 2011 to 2022, which is an equivalent to doubling the sky brightness every 8 years. And these dark spots that you see here represent areas where there's an exception of that rapid increase in light pollution. And some of these areas could be that because they're dark sky certified places, or communities are working to institute lighting ordinances, or just dark sky lighting efforts in general. It doesn't have to be dark sky places. And so why is reducing light pollution important? Each one of these values here can be, you can have a, you can have a special topic on each one of these values. But research has shown that light pollution in residential areas was found to disrupt people's natural sleep patterns. And over time, that could lead to serious health issues. So, that's one of the reasons that we are wanting to reduce light pollution. And these high intensity LEDs that, I showed in the previous photo, they can emit these bright blue lights or bright white lights that decrease visual, your ability to see distance and safety, and they can create hazardous conditions for nighttime driving. So we want to reduce light pollution to protect public health and safety. The obvious thing that we want to reduce light pollution for is so we can see the night skies. And night sky astronomy research, earth to sky research. The other reason is for protecting the night sky and reducing light pollution is it actually saves a lot of money and reduces energy. Most light pollution is wasted light, and it equates to wasted energy and wasted money. And of course, there's light pollution that impacts our ecosystem and nocturnal wildlife, nocturnal environment. And there's a lot of research that has gone into that. And and I want to just I'm going to talk more on this presentation about the value of the economic benefit of protecting the night sky and reducing light pollution. But I do want to just highlight right now the nocturnal environment, and especially migrating birds at night. This is a snapshot in time of this birdcast migration program that's put out by Cornell University and other partners. And this is a live data feed during the fall migration of the area where I live in Taos County. And over, that particular night, there were, 366,000 birds that migrated over Taos County that evening. And there's also this program that's associated with Birdcast, and it's a science to action program. It's called Lights Out for Birds at Night. And so this is, a program that's being participants from all over the world are doing this program, and basically they try to turn out the communities try to turn out their lights between these critical periods of migration, basically 11 p.m. through 6 a.m. And there's about 30 U.S. cities right now. But this really gets to the point of some of the impacts that light pollution can have on the nocturnal environment and our ecosystems. And so light pollution attracts and disorients migrating birds, confusing and exhausting them, as well as making them vulnerable to collisions with buildings, in urban areas. And it's been estimated that about 365 to 988 million birds die in collisions with buildings annually. And this can include species of concern, like possibly endangered species or threatened species. So why is the BLM concerned with light pollution and protecting the night skies? Well, the night sky isn't your typical resource such as wildlife, vegetation, or soils, water, air that visitors or the general public thinks of that we protect. However, the night sky does have scientific, historical, cultural, and ecological values that we're mandated to protect under our enabling legislation, which is the Federal Land Policy and Management Act. And also BLM lands within the National Conservation Program. These are lands that, so we have guidance through that, guidance document for protecting those type of lands. And these include national monuments, wilderness, wild and scenic rivers, places like that. And where I work at now, we have a national monument called the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument. Encompasses about 260,000 acres or so. And so that falls within the National Conservation Lands Program. And, this program specifically says that, we are supposed to protect the night sky from these overly lit environments and avoid light spill and light pollution, and that we're to retrofit and design our buildings and any kind of development, in a thoughtful manner. So it's not that we don't want to have any light at all. We need light to do our tasks at night. But it's a balance of having the light and using it properly, using it only when we need it, and protecting these values that are so important to our public lands. I just want to highlight another document that has recently come out in 2023. The Bureau of Land Management published these best management practices for protecting night skies and dark environments. And these are for all areas that are managed by BLM, not just national monuments or national conservation areas. So this is something that the BLM is, trying to pay more attention to, especially when we build new visitor centers or upgrade visitor centers that are going to have those light sources. BLM land, if you're familiar with BLM land versus like national parks or other places that might have more developed areas, the BLM doesn't have as many, areas that might have lights, but we do have lights. And so we still want to be concerned about that and take that into consideration in our recreation planning, in our land management plans, and how that's going to impact our wildlife and insects, especially as well too. So to just kind of bring it even further down, so that's kind of at the national level, but at the state level, the state of New Mexico, back in 1999, passed the Night Sky Protection Act, and this was the first of its kind in the U.S. There's other states since then that have passed dark sky acts. Nevada passed one in 2021, but this regulation or this act really was groundbreaking for its time because it recognized the importance of protecting the night skies while also, providing a safe environment and conservation and conserving energy and preserving the environment for astronomy. So, this was pretty big deal back then. But since then, LEDs have been introduced. It wasn't until 2008 that LED lights became popular in schools, offices, and hospitals. And by 2019, LED lights were the main source of lighting. So that's, been 20 years since this act was passed. So there are efforts right now to update this act. The state Dark Sky International chapter for New Mexico is working with state legislature to try and update that. So that's kind of, an overview of, you know, the laws, policies, why we want to protect night skies from light pollution, and really. The important thing that I try to talk with communities about is we want to be responsible with the light that we use, how we're lighting up our parking lots, how we're lighting up the new gas station, or whatever it is that's being built in our communities. So incorporating these dark sky friendly concepts into the lighting design right from the get-go is the most important way to protect the night skies, not only for our public lands, but for our surrounding, communities, and for all members of the community and to our visiting public to enjoy the night skies. So one of the best ways that we can do this is on a larger scale and in a regional effort. And, I just want to highlight this one area here, which is the Colorado Plateau and Basin and Range Dark Sky Cooperatives. The map that I showed earlier of the light pollution map had these two pretty dark areas right adjacent to each other. And so I would encourage, folks that are interested in working with, dark sky protection efforts to join these meetings. They have monthly meetings, and there's also webinars that they do on different night sky topics. One of them that was last year was on safety. A police officer, retired police officer, spoke about how you can balance the night sky protection and reducing light pollution and still have a safe environment at the same time. And these organizations are collaborative organizations with participation from local communities, state communities, federal agencies, tribes, and several nonprofits. So one of the regionally here in New Mexico, and I just wanted to mention also that that previous slide that talked about that region of the Colorado Plateau and Great Basin, that's just one of the dark sky areas. Bob later is going to talk about southern Oregon and the work that they did there in a very large dark sky protected area. So some of the work that is being done here in New Mexico is ongoing efforts for more international dark sky place certifications. There's currently 9 in New Mexico, and hopefully another one soon. I'll talk about that in a minute, project that I'm working on. And just want to highlight some. This isn't all of the efforts. So Dark Skyland organization, it's a nonprofit, and they're working towards creating this astro wilderness corridor. And this corridor would follow an existing highway that goes east to west off of west from I-25, and then travels south, kind of circumnavigating the Gila Wilderness, if you will, in general. Um, the Continental Divide Trail Coalition, they work all up and down the entire Continental Divide, but one of the they're getting on board with dark sky programming as well, and one of their last newsletters highlighted dark skies, talked all about dark skies in their newsletter. And last year they had a dark sky event in this little town called Pie Town. Never heard of it, but it's it's surrounded by it follows this wilderness corridor as well. Pie Town is in that wilderness corridor, and they're going to have this event again this year, where they have astronomy talks. There's research professionals, all kinds of events. And then here close to home, Cielo Centro is an effort that University of New Mexico Taos campus, the science program here, is in the process of embarking on. And actually this Friday, they are having the groundbreaking ceremony of phase 1. And Cielo Centro is, going to be, when it's fully developed, they will have the largest public telescope available in New Mexico and maybe in the Southwest. So this is going to be a big economic draw, visitor attraction, destination for our area. And then STEM Arts Lab, I just want to highlight this one because we've been partnering, BLM has been partnering and will continue to partner in the future with STEM Arts Lab. And they work with the youth of our community as well as the Taos Pueblo tribe. And they are doing some amazing things with technology, space, and art. They kind of bring those three aspects together. And they just launched Astro Tours this last year, and it's like a AI developed, pretty amazing thing. You'll have to go on their website and check it out. And we're going to start to bring the Astro Tours to our star parties that we have within the monument. And they do a bunch of other things, so you can check them out on their website. I also want to just talk about a little bit about this Dark Sky Place certification program that Dark Sky International has. So if you recall that slide that I showed about, the light pollution map and those areas that there's dark spots here and there. So some of those places are because there have been efforts in the past, and there continue to be efforts today to certify places as dark sky with dark sky certification. And there's 6 different categories that people can go for dark sky certification, and they include dark sky parks, sanctuaries, reserves, urban night sky areas, dark sky communities, and the most recent category is lodging. So in this slide, I just highlight, Flagstaff. So Flagstaff was the first international dark sky community in the world in 2001, sorry. And the Flagstaff population is about 77,500. So when you think of a community like Flagstaff, they have a university, Northern Arizona University. It's a pretty good sized community. And, if they can do it there, I think, it's possible just about anywhere. And there's communities that are, even bigger than Flagstaff that are going towards dark sky certification. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight in this slide is this dark sky approved lodging, which was the newest category in 2023. And I'm not promoting this company under Canvas or anything like that, but I did want to just mention that this company has 6 dark sky approved lodging resort locations in the US. And I was like, Wow, that is a lot. Um, and some of them can be fancy, but they don't have to be. So this one under Canvas in Moab, they advertise these stargazer tents, and basically, they're a little bit fancier than your regular tent, but they have a viewing window for viewing the sky. Um, they also offer astronomy hikes and talks, and they offer telescope viewing. So these are um, things that aren't like totally out of reach in terms of potential for dark sky certification or just dark sky viewing opportunities. And in general, right now there's over 230 dark sky certified places in the world and growing. This number is growing, and they cover 22 countries and only one native nation. However, this I want to just talk a little bit about this the first dark sky Indian nation. The Thunder Mountain Putsi Night Sky is on the Kaibab Paiute Indian Reservation, and it's just north of the Grand Canyon. And they have partnered with the National Park Service and Pipe Spring National Monument. The monument is actually within the reservation boundary. And I just want to say a little quote here that the executive director, Ruskin Hartley from Dark Sky International, said when this nation was certified as dark sky. He said, the certification recognizes the exceptional quality of Pipe Springs night skies and their commitment to the cultural significance many of the native tribes in the region have for the night sky. So that reservation and the monument, they co-named their visitor center. So it's named, with the native nation name on there. They also partner in doing programming, night sky programming. The monument hires tribal members as park rangers to do their programming. And when I spoke with Daniel Bullets, he's the cultural specialist for the Kaiba Paiute tribe, and I asked him, how did you get your community to support this concept of dark sky certification? And it took a little while, but there were youth involved in this effort. There was and the way he phrased it was he called it a cultural reconnect for the tribal community, um, getting the community familiar again with their songs, their dances, and their stories related to night skies. Um, at the end of this presentation, I have a list of suggested links, and Daniel did a presentation for Dark Sky International, and there's a link to his presentation on there, and I'd recommend watching that. It's very moving. So I mentioned earlier that I'm working on a project and continuing on this topic of dark sky certification places. And the project is to bring our monument, the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument, into this international dark sky certification program. And right now we're going towards Dark Skies Park. And this is really general. If anyone's involved or interested in pursuing dark sky certification for your community or for your tribe or for your reservation or your protected area, whatever, I would encourage you to reach out to Dark Sky International, and there's a link, on this slide deck for that. But basically, the application process can take anywhere from plus or minus 2 years, but that can vary greatly. It depends on the situation. I don't want to get too much into the application process, but a couple of the heavy things that, lifts that you need to think about before going for this type of certification is there is a lighting inventory required. So you need to inventory all your lights in your community, or wherever the boundary is of the area that you're thinking of to become dark sky certified. And then if there are any that are not dark sky friendly, then those need to be brought up to dark sky friendly status. And then the other thing is to do night sky quality readings. And this can take some time. Basically, you're measuring the brightness of the sky to determine how dark the sky is. So we're working right now with our local astronomy club to take these readings, and the University of New Mexico Taos. They're helping us to gather these readings up and down the monument, because the monument is very long and covers a lot of various geographic and geologic areas. But what I do want to focus on and the rest of this talk is these benefits of becoming dark sky certified. Regardless of what category you become dark sky certified, you become part of this international group. You get international recognition. You can collaborate with other dark sky advocates in the US and worldwide. The Dark Sky International program is the certification process is through their board, which is representative of people from out the world. So, one of the things that I've encountered in this process of putting together the application packet for dark sky certification is the opportunity it's provided the BLM to collaborate with our communities, with our county, with our friends groups, with the university, and with others that are interested in protecting and restoring night skies. I've learned so much. There's so many people in the state of New Mexico that are looking at protecting night skies for various reasons, all the reasons that I talked about initially about the values. And one of these values, this is the American Indigenous Tourism Association. So one of these values is dark sky tourism. And, what is the economic value of dark skies? I don't know if we can actually put a number on that, but there was some research conducted several years ago, and they estimated that on the Colorado Plateau alone, they expected astro tourists to spend $5.8 billion over the next 10 years. And astrotourism can be anything, really. It can be anything that, visitors are dependent on the night sky to do, any activity like star parties, astronomy festivals, full moon hikes, Indigenous night sky storytelling. There's really this idea of astrotourism is the sky's the limit in my mind. Last year, Condé Nast Travel Magazine said that astrotourism would be the #1 travel trend in 2024. And astrotourism is getting so popular that last year, the Dark Sky International released guiding principles for how to responsibly be an astrotourist. So protecting night skies can offer an economic advantage through the reduction in light pollution. It's kind of like a win-win situation, the way I interpret it. And to me, it's a sustainable economic development opportunity, which people are taking advantage of around the world, Costa Rica, Australia, everywhere, because we are all under one sky. So I just want to highlight some examples of ways that communities can engage in this astrotourism opportunities. And one of them is to offer dark sky tours, or be a dark sky guide. And this this slide just it gives you an example of one at Glacier National Park. And actually, this one's in Canada. So Glacier National Park and Waterton National Parks are international peace parks, and they're the only transnational dark sky park in the world. And so they've taken advantage of that. A tribe can be next to a dark sky certified park or a BLM area or a sanctuary. They don't have to be their own dark sky certified place or community. They can take advantage of what's already existing and hop on board and do tours with their own indigenous perspective of the night sky. Um, and this is what I want to give some examples of some potential opportunities here. Recently, just in January, Tucson became they became a astro trail, officially unveiled this astro trail, and it was an article in National Geographic. Um, and basically, Tucson is the base for where people can do these tours to 11 of dark sky friendly places. So it's like 11 different tours that you can do, and you can base out of Tucson, which is a pretty large population of, almost what, 800,000 people or more. And and Tucson actually is the headquarters for Dark Sky International. And Tucson itself, the city, has incorporated dark sky uh, concepts into their recent master plan. So, this is happening. This is real. Um, and right next to Tucson is the Tohono O'odham nation. And so, this is an area where, tribes can take advantage. They can say, okay, well, we have Kit Peak here. We have this, you know, they can have their own van, just like I showed in the previous slide, and take people on these Astro Tour trails, guided trails. And then I wanted to highlight in this slide here that the American Indigenous Tourism Association recently published this Tribes Along the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail. This is an existing travel guide, and it goes all the way from the border of the U.S. with Mexico, Nogales, Arizona, to San Francisco, and all along there, all the tribes along there. This is a travel guide that you can add. The common denominator here of both of the Tucson and this travel guide are that you can do star trail routes on these areas that are already there. Indigenous communities can take advantage of these existing resources to benefit their economies. This is another one I just want to highlight real quick. I've talked about this before in other presentations, but Nevada's Park to Park in the Dark route. This was, kind of called the starriest route in America. And it's Nevada's first astronomy route, connecting two international dark sky parks, Death Valley and Great Basin National Parks. So, within Nevada, it's home to 28 indigenous tribes. So this route already exists, and there's at least 6 tribes with connections to the area between Death Valley and Great Basin. Nevada's Indian Territory, another existing, indigenous tourism opportunity. That's already in place, and that opportunity can add a dark skies tour into their programming. So these are just examples of potential opportunities that can be taken to improve economic development in your communities. And then the last bullet here I want to highlight is that the Duck Valley Shoshone Paiute tribe recently was awarded a grant, and they are working towards developing the first observatory on tribal lands. And the Duck Valley Shoshone Paiute tribe is in northern Nevada, southern Idaho. So it's kind of borders both of those, crosses both of those areas there. And this will be huge. They're working with the school there, the students, and I think this is going to be pretty amazing and set a good example for what can be done on tribal lands. Whoops, sorry, went backwards. Another very simple economic opportunity. I don't see the slide. Can you see the I don't see all the slide there, but anyway, this is a certified dark sky campground, cosmic campground, and it's on Forest Service land. Now, I know that many tribal lands, tribal nations, reservations have campgrounds. So you don't have to be certified as a dark sky campground or a dark sky nation. You can just advertise. It's a lot of marketing that goes into this. And as long as you have like a flat space for people to bring their telescopes, you don't even have to have the telescopes. You could have advertised people to come and bring their telescopes. This is another example that I just want to relay to folks because it's just right up the road from us here in near northern New Mexico. This is in southern Colorado, and this was a collaborative effort with a very small community population of 750, and even the electric company got involved in developing this planet walk. And it goes down through Main Street. They have these wayside exhibits, and then they also offer dark sky programming. Now this is the last example that I want to show you, and this is kind of the other end of the spectrum. And this is called the International Dark Sky Discovery Center. This is a center that I recently found out about that's going to be opening in 2026. This is outside of Phoenix, Arizona, pretty large metropolitan area. Fountain Hills, Arizona is where this is going to be located. And this was a very small effort started by just a couple people, and it grew into this large center that's going to have a planetarium. It's going to have an observatory, education center, all kinds of things for youth. And I don't know how they have involved tribal communities, but if you live in Arizona or near Phoenix and are a tribal member, I would reach out to them, check out their website. This facility is going to be about 22,000 square feet. It's being supported by all the legislatures in the state, the governor, everybody. So Dark Sky International is supporting it. So that was just kind of a overview, and I just want to end by saying that we can, even though the night sky I think the night sky is a endangered resource, if you will, but we can do something about it. It's something that we can reverse. We can turn off the lights. This is a common flyer or handout that we give to people. It's the 5 lighting principles for responsible outdoor lighting. So, if we can just remember to do these things and, share with our neighbors, only use the light if it's needed. We can turn it off if we don't need it. And then direct the light where we need it. Low light levels. The light should be no brighter than is necessary. These bright white lights and blue LED lights, not necessarily needed. And we want to shield them when we do have lights on outside, so they're not going up into the sky and out into space. And then we can use controls. We can use timers. We can use motion detectors. Um, and lastly, try to buy those lights that are more amber colored instead of bright white. And we can make uh, our night skies darker and protect our human health and safety and our wildlife and nocturnal environment. And these are those links I just referred to, which you can check out later. And now I'll turn it over to Bob, my colleague with Southern Oregon Tourism.
All right. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me, Gina?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I want to thank Danielle and Colleen for inviting me to join you all here. I'm happy to be here. Also want to thank Amber Harrison at Dark Sky International. You see all this work that Gina talked about going on, and Amber really moves a lot of that through the process at Dark Sky International. So cheers to you, Amber. And then also thank Gina really just for this great overview of what we talk about when we talk about dark skies in terms of human health, wildlife, community impacts. I think I just want to say yes to everything Gina shared with all of you. All of that are the important elements. I really don't have anything to add. What I'm just going to do is very briefly share sort of a Gina really did the what and a broad view of that. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the how in one little place in Southern Oregon about how we did this work and the kinds of opportunities that open up for communities and the way that the tribal communities may find opportunities to interact with the work going on in your area. And so let's go to the next one, Gina. And like Gina shared with you, here's a sort of a bigger light map of the area that we're talking about here, referred to as the Oregon Outback. Really, that's for those of you who know, that's Lake County on the west, Harney County in the middle, and then Malheur County over on the east, bordering Idaho. And basically the Heart Mountain area, Steens Mountain area, and then the Owyhee country as well. The goal, and I'm just going to take you through the how because this is a very different approach, and that you may find yourselves in communities where there is no single landowner, like a national park, like a BLM administrative unit, like a tribal unit that has one controlling manager of the land that would be signing the light management plan, which is the key to any of your dark sky work. In this particular area, this vast area, there is no national park. There is no state park. There's hardly even any county parks. And so, but for all the reasons that Gina was sharing, this pristine sky out there really attracted a lot of attention from dark sky enthusiasts, and then tourism folks also were able to find ways to work with a lot of advocates to accomplish this goal, which really was to create, like Gina referred to, landscape scale project. Because if we're going to really keep these pristine skies a little bit here, a little bit there, it helps, but a land scale preservation projects really will help preserve this kind of map that you're seeing right here. And the goal, is to preserve that collective night sky heritage, and that really includes everybody. And so there's a huge sense of community that I've learned in this dark sky work that So many people feel a part of these conversations, and I think it's great that the tribes feel part of this conversation as well. Of course they are, and a huge sense of community here. And then also to create on the tourism side, sort of community appropriate year-round recreational opportunities. And that means the right level of visitation that a community can support. The goal on the tourism side is not to overwhelm. Many of you live in very small communities. Your capacity to host visitors, while you welcome visitors, you're limited by capacity. And folks who are, quote, promoting these areas very much need to keep that in mind, to keep the community appropriate level of response, to keep everything in balance. Okay, Gina, thank you. Let's go. Next one. Um, we can go to the next one. Gina did a great job talking about the dark skies. This just gives you a sense of what that basin and range landscape is like out in Lake County, and it's always funny that it's, Lake County because it's really in the middle of a sagebrush desert in the Great Basin. But there are all these inland waterways. It's just a fabulous geological and, area of the world. And I'm just sharing some eye candy here. So the next one, Gina. The way that what the Outback International Dark Sky Sanctuary is currently certified is 2.5 million acres in Lake County. The plan that my colleague Don Nilsson with the Rose City Astronomers in Portland came up with really is, and Amber, and we work with Dark Sky International, is down the road. Hopefully, Harney County can come on and Malheur County can come on with the BLM and public lands partners. But right now, it's about 2.5 million acres that's certified in Lake County. That's the largest dark sky sanctuary in the world, just at that 2.5 million acres. And part of that's possible because there's nobody out there. The key, and for those of you who are looking at sort of a partnership in order to achieve any dark sky goals, this is a list of all the folks that had to sign one single light management plan, that one ring to rule them all. Everybody needs to sign it and agree. And in the case of this 2.5 million acres, we had, the Fremont National Forest, the BLM Lakeview, U.S. Fish and Wildlife at the Heart Mountain Antelope Refuge, the Department of Transportation, Fish and Wildlife, state lands, Parks and Rec, even the aviation, because there's airports out there. And then most importantly, for this to be successful, we're engaging with the legislators on the ground, the Lake County commissioners. And so I should add the Lake County Chamber of Commerce to this. They did not have to sign the plan. Every one of these had to sign the light management plan. So they are on board and committed to achieving these goals. And it took 5 years. And so I'm just sharing with you, if things take a while, they take a while. And because it takes a lot of conversation. What works for the BLM may not be working for the wildlife refuges at the state level. And you just want to have those conversations. And as tribes, you want to be part of those conversations as well. And just, you don't need to go fast because these things keep giving for a long time. Next one, Gina. The way that this went beyond just the people signing those light management plans was we needed partners on the ground in that geography. And Playa Summer Lake is actually an artist residency colony. Colony is too strong. It's a residency program for artists, scientists to come 2-3 week stays to work on projects, to do creative space. But part of their programming in this environment is nocturnal environments, is sort of traditional uses of the land, and dark sky programming is part of what they do. They actually do a whole week of dark sky programming cohorts, artists, scientists, astronomers coming out, setting up telescopes. So you will find, like a lot of you are finding out there, even in these real rural spots, there are partners who are ready to have this conversation and really help begin to lay the groundwork for you to move things forward. Next one, Gina. Dark Sky Oregon. Most of you, wherever you are, there are dark sky chapters. Um, uh, and when I say they're chapters of Dark Sky International, but they're really operating really at a local level, or at a state level. These partners are invaluable for the technical elements that are required. The sky quality metering, monitoring, processing of data, um, really just great resources for the how, for the why. And they also know people in your community that are part of their group. And so, you really do need to plug in with these local chapters of Dark Sky Oregon, because they are an important conduit up to Dark Sky International to help make their work manageable and to build broad alliances, to support the work that you're doing. Think of grant writing, think of all the various elements that when you have partners that can help you with these efforts, they can really get done. And next one, Gina. And this is just an example, like Gina's talking about the sky quality meters. Like this is a sky quality meter. It lives in this little PVC housing. It's like a stud finder, or like a kind of slightly fatter iPhone, and it just points up through that oculus every 5 minutes. It takes a snapshot of the sky straight up above. That sits out there for 3 months at a time. And that data by a person is downloaded onto a computer and, up leveled to, in our case, to Dark Sky Oregon, who collates that data. And, you can't just say you're dark to become a dark sky place. You actually do have to prove it. And this is an important part of that. And just to share with you how low tech a lot of these efforts really start doing. I've been monitoring this meter and a couple other out there for 4 years now, every 3 months going out there and doing it, and looking to bring on partners to help me do that in that work. Next one. Um, so those were sort of on the ground partners. One thing that's different in Oregon, not different. I know that other in New Mexico and Colorado and Arizona, tourism folks are very engaged. I Travel Oregon has really created what is a dark sky learning community, and there are quarterly meetings sort of at the state level. And they are an open group of folks from all around the state, from experts to beginners, to people with questions, to people with answers, just to begin having a single sort of coherent statewide conversation of how we're going to work with dark skies in this tourism environment. And the assets that Travel Oregon can bring. There's this dark sky tourism toolkit. This is about a 25-page document, all about the various elements of dark sky tourism, definitions, how to work with things, what best community partnerships are. But the main thing is the conversation is happening and it's open. There's one on Thursday. That's going to be the next one for Oregon, and that invitation is wide open. And was really important for laying groundwork support for us. Next one, please. Um, and then this is the kind of thing that you'll see inside that guide, right? Highlighting, just like Gina did, why do this work? Because people are coming to it from various points on the arc. And then the environmental benefits, health and safety stuff, and then the cultural benefits can't be overstated. And I think Gina highlighted them as well. And this is clearly a way that the tribes can engage in this conversation in a door that's actually always open. And we'll talk about some of those messaging opportunities that roll out over time that way. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. Like I said, Thursday there's a meeting of this learning community, and this is ongoing, and it accomplishes a huge amount of work within the state. Next one, please. Um, this is just what's out there. There's all so many petroglyphs out there. There's such a rich, long human history in this geography, and the work to just raise awareness, to preserve it, to celebrate it, and respect and honor it is all part of the opportunity to really talk about this place. That the sanctuary gives us the opportunity to do that. Next slide, please. And then next slide, why is tourism at the table even, right? Gina alluded to a little bit of the Colorado Plateau data. If you go to the next one, Gina, um, the one this one is interesting to me because really what that study showed is that visitors to your community who are engaged in night sky activities spend 3 times as much money than people who are not. Now, it's not a surprise if you're going to be somewhere into the darkest hours of the night, you're probably going to have dinner there, right? You're probably going to spend the night there. You're probably going to have breakfast there. You may even buy, some stuff while you're in those communities. Um, and it's always on, the sense of off peak for dark sky stuff. It's people who are, it's always on, it never shuts off, right? The sky is always there. And you can build economic community systems around these things that don't get overloaded in July so nobody can have a good time. It goes all year long. And so I just wanted to sort of highlight that element. One thing that we have seen in Lake County, again, the only hotels are in Lakeview and there's one in Summer Lake. Very few beds that are in the hotel space that we can measure. But our AirDNA, our short-term rental data, we were certified in March of 2024. And we've actually seen the number of people in Lake County, offering short-term rentals has increased quite a bit. And that occupancy of those new short-term rentals, Airbnbs, is also going up. The average daily rate that's paid for them is going up. So there are ways that visitation is going up. And on the tourism side, we can help measure that and really provide our county commissioners with that kind of data to help them support the dark sky community all along the way. It's not very often we have an ask of the county, but I have found that getting in front of them and sharing with things all the time, whenever we do have an ask, it really helps to keep them informed on the value of the good decision they made to participate. Next one, please. Getting close to the end here. And so the visitor messaging and collaborations are really where the opportunity, at least, the hard work of creating the sanctuary is there. We have basic signage across this vast geography, just coming in from Summer Lakeside, coming in from, the Lakeview side, coming in from, my gosh, Highway 140 Nevada, just signage to let people know where they are, what the dark sky sanctuary is, reinforcing some of this responsible lighting messaging and the principles of dark sky tourism. There's 5 of them that are articulated by Dark Sky International, and number 2, not in order of importance, is honor first peoples and local communities. That's a value of this dark sky work. If you go to the next slide, please, Gina. The BLM in Lakeview is by far the largest landholder in this particular sanctuary. They are doing a lot of work at this Heart Bar area, that's Heart Mountain behind you that you're seeing there, Basin and Range Birding Trail. They're developing this Heart Bar area really as a dark sky viewing site, making it accessible. They're doing a lot of work in this. And next slide, please. One of those part that they're working on is the opportunity to message about this landscape, about this land that people are enjoying this night sky on. So our partner at the BLM, just for their work, they're having ongoing conversations with the tribes surrounding the land there, and homeland tribes there, with the Klamath, the Burns Paiute, Fort Bidwell tribes. And that invitation is just ongoing. And I think, and certainly in the next year, when the BLM is really reimagining their kiosks, their signs, their descriptive stuff. It will include sort of messaging from the tribes, wildlife, geology, traditional uses, night sky versions of things that really help raise awareness of these lands, the way they've been used from time immemorial, the way that the tribes want to do these messaging to people. There's no determining what that message is. It's just an ongoing invitation for the conversation of how to talk about this land the way that the tribes do want to do it. And there are no actual tribal lands that are signatories on the light management plan, just because that's just not the way that the land broke out. But on the adjacent lands, there's all kinds of engagement with the tribes as well. And for example, if the sanctuary expands to Harney County, the Steens Mountain area, the Burns Paiute are right, by Burns. That will not actually be in the sanctuary. Um, and so they won't need to sign the light management plan, but already the economic development director that I was at a meeting with, because Oregon, we do have a tribal tourism task force, and we meet regularly with the tribes. And I was talking with the economic development director there, and they're building RV sites, sort of on tribal land there in Burns, with an invitation for people to come enjoy the night skies, come enjoy, the Burns and Harney County community, and actually enjoy your tribal experience here as well. You don't have to be on the designated certified land. And Gina made that point, and it's just true. And the economic development that often happens on these gateway communities around these places. The Fort McDermott tribes will certainly, be engaged as if when Malheur County and the Owyhee country really starts getting down the road a little bit to come on. There'll certainly be an opportunity out there, and a connection there as well. Next one, Gina. I think that might be it. Yeah. So again, I'll just close by these community partnerships and the opportunities they create. That's where all the work happens. And so I love, the communities that come together to do this work. It doesn't seem to end. It's very big, and I'm glad to be here and talk to you about it.
Thank you so much, Bob and Gina, for lending your expertise for us and our incredible audience here today. Such a privilege to learn from you both. I've learned a lot. I'm very excited for the future ahead here in dark sky tourism and the economic development and opportunities there. So for those of you that are watching live here, we do have a few minutes. If you'd like to ask any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat for Gina and Bob to answer some of your questions. Okay. Daisy asks, Indigenous people were not included in the Fountain Hills Dark Sky Discovery Center? Question mark. Gina, that is one for you, I believe.
Yeah, I would encourage you to reach out to the organization that spearheaded that effort. I can't speak to it. When I look at their website, I don't see any tribes that are quoted in terms of supporting it and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely reach out to them, because I would hope that they would have some exhibits about the cultural connection to the night sky.
So we do have a few questions over here in the Q&A. So George asks, has anyone studied how much money is saved from low light usage in dark sky places? A great selling point to become a dark sky community would be to see how much money is saved from changed lighting to be more dark sky friendly. And he's got two questions, but I'll pause there. And
yeah, there is some. Go ahead, Bob.
No, you go, Gina.
I was just going to direct folks to the Dark Sky International website. They do have some stats there that talk about some research that's been done on how much can be saved. But in terms of like specific areas, yeah, there is a Actually, UNM Taos has contracted an economic feasibility kind of study, and I think that's going to be coming out pretty soon within this next year, because that was something that they wanted to show the community and the legislatures, how this would benefit the economy. So I would check, locally, but initially I would start with Dark Sky International, and they do have some information there.
Yeah, and in my experience, well, first of all, like something like the sanctuary is almost like the equivalent of a wilderness area. I mean, in that 2.5 million acres I'm talking about, there's 100 lights, right? So there's not a lot of lights there, and so the idea of economic savings and that kind of thing on public lands isn't really a driving issue. Certainly, it is like in a cave junction by the Oregon Caves here as a community, looking at dark sky certification. That is going to be a dollars and cents kind of conversation. I will share with everybody in my experience, the economic argument is one that people track fairly easily, because it's pretty clear. Um, the work is very much more in the political arena. And I know Gina did had a reference to a slide early on that said that these dark sky places are not legally binding, right? Which is to
Hmm.
say that what you have is Dark Sky International, God bless them, are a group of volunteers coming together to create criteria by which we all work and make the planet better. Agreeing to do that is a choice. And but the largest amount of time I spend with people in this work is convincing them that their rights are not being taken away, right? That the government's not going to come in and change people's light bulbs or fine them or something like that. And I'm not being hyperbolic. You all know generally what I'm talking about. If you go into communities, people just don't know. And
Hmm.
creating clarity around the relationship that a community will have to the dark sky community, I have found is like step number one. And once you've taken people's fears down, then these other conversations really flow much more easily.
Yeah, can I
Yeah.
add one more thing, Colleen?
Yeah.
There was a slide, I don't want to go back to it because I don't want to mess up the next slides. But there, I did reference, I didn't talk about it, but in the slide deck and the notes, there is reference to the National Park Service visitation stats. And so that's in the billions of dollars, and it's measured. You can go by state or by park. And if your area or your community is near one of those parks, you can kind of get an idea of how much um, money is being spent in those areas, and it's divided out into lodging and other factors as well. So that's another area I would point you to.
And can I just add one more thing on that for George? I mean, the great question, because the economics are
Hmm.
really important when you get right down to it. We have also found part of the benefit of having tourism or some other partners that maybe have some resource at the table to help things happen is often the cost of a retrofit, for example, isn't that great, right? Which is to say, if somebody has four lights that need to be changed, sometimes it can be done for really not a whole lot of money. And finding partners that have resource that they are willing and can spend in that way just goes so far with goodwill with the community. That's like we're not just sort of checking in and asking for this, we will help do this as much as we can, and you'll be surprised how little money is required actually on some of these applications to retrofit lights.
Hmm.
Thank you both for that. Another question here is, I've been blessed to live in a place with a dark sky, although there is some light pollution. What I'm noticing is a lot more satellites, a lot of satellites, honestly. Are we concerned about how satellites impact night skies, and what can we do about it?
You can take that one, Gina. I don't know enough. I mean, I'm not I'm astronomer would answer this in a very different way, and I would, I'm sure it's distracting and a problem in terms of actual. It's more a distraction than actual light pollution, but it is reflecting light
Hmm.
back to the planet. So, but I don't
No,
know.
yeah, no, that is a huge concern, and Dark Sky International has put out statements about this. I think I it was on the a podcast or something I heard recently that I think there's like what 10,000 or 20,000 satellites up there right now, and you know Elon Musk, he wants to put more out there. So yes, this is a concern for sure. And how you can get engaged in that, I don't know. I would really encourage folks that are on the webinar right now or listening later to, like Bob and I have suggested, is engage in your local astronomy club or dark sky club, or, your local chapter of Dark Sky International, because I think that's where the difference is going to be made in numbers, you know, uh, getting our voices heard. But yeah, it's a problem, you know, it's that's outside of my jurisdiction, but yeah, thank you for that question. It's a definitely a big concern.
For taking a moment to answer that. And here's another excellent question from George. Is there a central place where I can find all the existing dark sky communities, groups, or projects in my area?
Yeah, I think Gina shared that Dark Sky Places. If you go to darksky.org, which is the Dark Sky International website, and go to their Dark Sky Places tab, there they list every certified dark sky place, which is community reserve, all of those various categories. Right there in one place with you can view their whole application. You have links to their resources. We just published a new website, I'm happy to say, yesterday for the Oregon Outback Dark Sky Sanctuary.com.
Congratulations.
Finally got that done. And so that was a long time coming, but that just went out yesterday. So all of those links to all those places, really dark sky becomes the main resource, at least in my experience. I think local people do great sharing that, but if you want that master list, George, I think that's where I would start.
It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and as my cousin always says, Google it. But, I mean, really, I found so much information. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that this organization existed. And what are they doing in New Mexico? And then that led me down to talk to somebody else. And so, yeah, I mean, just dark sky work in New Mexico, or dark sky work in California or wherever, dark sky work in San Diego County. Um, you'll find it's amazing what you'll find.
Yes, and it's so interesting to just also hearing during the presentation the statistics around the projected growth numbers for dark sky and astronomy tourism. Certainly, we've seen that with some of the eclipse behaviors in the last tourism in the last few years. So just
Hmm.
interesting to hear the potential opportunity economically and culturally for the significance here. And I do want to got a few more questions to get through here. So Kevin asks, do we have any statistics on per capita expenditures by dark sky tourists? And
Mm,
just noting, Jerry says in Coconino County in Arizona, they include Navajo and work with tribal members. So just a note on that for their dark skies. But this one seems like a broader economic opportunity question.
we don't have that Oregon data, that I know of. I think that Colorado Plateau is the most exhaustive recent economic broad scale study that I've seen. Um, uh, I know that in terms of economic impact, the one learning that Travel Oregon has learned in talking to people is that folks engaged in night sky activities are much more likely to um, work with a guide or a tour operator to have that experience that they're looking for. They're very willing to do that because they may be German and they may be out in the outback. They have no idea where they are, but they know the experience they want to have.
Hmm.
And so that kind of engagement and so that willingness to do it, there's not been a dollar level associated with that yet, but you're right, you're on the right trail, and that's the kind of data that I know Travel Oregon is looking to get to because
Hmm.
it's important data.
And I just echo that. There is I think a couple years, it's been a couple years now. Utah State University did a research study, national parks and how they spend their their um, their money and actually defining what a dark sky tourist is and all this stuff. So I did put a link in one of those links is to um, a, a Google Scholar, and that will take you to a bunch of different research that's been done on night skies and but that is something that's needed. We need more of that research. There's just very, very little that's been done. So, um, so yeah, thank you for that question. If you're a researcher, there's your opportunity.
Well, it does seem like we do have a researcher of some type in the audience because Todd has offered a few interesting tidbits here, including Design Light Consortium has a white paper on energy savings in Colorado City through reduced lights and on-demand lighting. So for those of you who
Yeah.
are curious about that angle, it could be an interesting white paper for you to check out. And if Todd, you want to share the link with me, and feel email that, I'll drop my email in the chat here for you, and we can include that in the notes that goes out for everybody after with the recorded webinar.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Todd. Yeah, I think I included DLC as a link. Um, there's just so much going on out there. It's hard to like keep track of it. And this is just a tiny part of my job. So
Okay, just checking to see if we have any other questions. Looks like that is all in the Q&A and all in the chat. So I just want to offer my gratitude again on behalf of the American Indigenous Tourism Association. Thank you so much, Gina and Bob, for your incredible expertise. Again, this is just so powerful. And Gina, you had a few good jokes in there too. So just that didn't go unnoticed. The sky's the limit, as she said previously. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. This was fantastic, and I hope everybody learned something. And again, we will be sharing this recording out by the end of the week so you can watch the replay and dive into the resources and additional opportunities that this incredible Community Navigator program offers. So with that, thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.